3 years ago, when Crysis released for the PC, it shattered our previous definitions of good visuals. Crytek's interpretation of a tropical island setting was truly astounding, and for years games struggled to live up to the visual standards set by Crysis. Not only was it a visual feast, Crysis was a lot of fun and a well-designed game from top to bottom. 3 years later, the release of Crysis 2 begs a few questions. Is this the next eye-popping shooter developers will be trying to beat for several years? Is it a good game aside from the visual aspects? The answer is complicated, so stick around for Intense Gaming TV's review of Crysis 2.
We need another 20 minutes for a full evac! Take those squid motherfuckers down!
To make things plain and simple and to clear up any confusion, I will start by saying that Crysis 2 is not the game that will be used as a benchmark for the next few years. Of course, this doesn't mean it doesn't look good. It looks amazing, but the game does not make the same technological leap that its predecessor did. And in all honesty, I don't think it was meant to. Crysis 2 does have a slight visual edge over Crysis 1, but it won't require the PC player to upgrade their rig if they can already play advanced visual titles like Bad Company 2. Crysis 2 is extremely runnable, so much so that it will run a lot smoother than the original Crysis on identical hardware. The only downside to this perfected CryEngine would have to be that it is no longer as scalable. Whereas in the original Crysis you could toggle pretty much any visual option you wished, in Crysis 2 you can choose from 3 presets that consist of high, very high, and extreme. This is disappointing, but can easily be overlooked in the grand scheme. Crysis 2 is such an amazing package otherwise that it makes up for this lack of choice, and its other shortcomings, of which there are few. Of those shortcomings, the most notable are the bugs. There were several during my first playthrough of the campaign, and some of them were quite hindering to my progress. One particularly annoying glitch happened about halfway through the story, and involved the voices of 3 or 4 Marines on repeat, following my character, yelling, "Come on, push forward!" I had to restart the chapter because of it, and it happened in another instance. It's quite possible this particular bug was caused by the video recording tool Fraps, as it only happened directly after I started recording. Other noteworthy but seldom bugs include disappearing guns and perpetual screen fuzzing, as in after walking through electrified water, the screen altering effects linger on far after you cleared the hazard. The AI can also be quite dodgy from time to time, and enemies will sometimes stand still or just not fire back. This happened rarely during my playthrough though, and for the most part the AI reacted accordingly. All these flaws, however, are more than made up for by the stellar experience that is Crysis 2. The new nanosuit is a blast and really makes you feel like a super weapon. You can still do the traditional Crysis things like cloak and armor mode, but things like running and jumping have been streamlined to make the experience more intuitive. Not only can you run fast and jump to high ledges with ease, you can slide under obstacles, perform stealth kills, slam the ground with tremendous force, and pack all your suit's energy into one deadly punch. All of these powers drain your suit's energy level, which will require you to plan ahead. Overall, wielding the nanosuit feels fresh and original, as well as a lot of fun. Combat is also a blast, and the huge urban jungle environments Crytek created for the game's New York setting automatically lend themselves to extensive replayability. The combat visor is now a more useful tool than ever, serving the purposes of outlining tactical options, marking enemy locations, and revealing weapon stashes. All this freedom allows the player to get really creative when approaching any given battle, and if you're playing on the harder difficulty settings, you'll definitely want to take advantage of it. Aside from the great combat and expansive environments, Crysis 2 is full of scripted events that are incredible showcases of what CryEngine 3 can do. Buildings will crumble in the distance, bridges will collapse before your eyes, and ships will collide with skyscrapers in a shower of fire and sparks. It seems there is something impressive to see during each mission, and the game automatically gives you the option of focusing in on that particular event, as if to say, hey, check it out, you won't want to miss this. Also a huge step up from the original Crysis is the narrative. The game's story flows at an excellent pace, even if the beginning is, admittedly, a bit slow. Once it picks up, though, it doesn't slow down for a bit, and the great voice acting and incredible visuals only add to the story's immersive qualities. The campaign should take you about 7 hours on the normal difficulty if you play straight through, and will take you longer if you thoroughly explore all your options. If you choose to challenge yourself and bump up the difficulty, you're more likely in for a 10 to 12 hour trip. It's a refreshing change of pace from the usual 4 or 5 hour excursions that mainly involve slaughtering wave after wave of enemies down narrow corridors.
Firing! Lighting them up!
Target locked. Missile away. Confirmed missile hit. He's going in hard.
I wish I could say more about the amazing experience you'll find in Crysis 2's campaign, but you'll just have to see for yourself if you feel so inclined. The campaign, however, is not what a lot of shooter fans today are after. To these gamers, I would say, have no fear. Crysis 2's multiplayer is no slouch, and should provide the competitive shooter fan with hours of entertainment. That being said, this is not Call of Duty, it's not Halo, and it's not Battlefield. This is Crysis 2, plain and simple, and quite honestly, it's not a whole lot like anything you've played. Yes, it incorporates successful elements of Call of Duty and Halo, more so than it does Battlefield, but Crysis 2 has one prevailing factor that sets it apart from those games. That factor is the nanosuit. With the addition of cloaking, armor mode, ground pounding, stealth kills, and all the other mischief you can get into wielding the suit, multiplayer becomes a whole new game. The title does include the standard game modes like Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, and King of the Hill, as well as a few others, and you will be able to create classes just as you would in any other game. The leveling and upgrading system is far more challenging than in other games, save maybe for Bad Company 2, and it makes sense that Crytek chose to do this. There are a lot less weapons here than in other modern military shooters, so you'll have to play a lot longer in order to level up enough to unlock superior weaponry and features. A major plus for Crysis 2's multiplayer on the PC is that its server browser was fully functional on day one, and joining the game was quick and easy. It goes without saying that Crysis 2's multiplayer isn't 100% original, but it certainly does enough to feel very unique in today's plethora of modern shooters. Despite its drawbacks, Crysis 2 is an amazing game. It packs a lot of value into the experience, and should keep any shooter fan satisfied for months to come. Its campaign, while not completely free of a few hindering bugs, is a prime example of what a shooter campaign should be. Its multiplayer is a fresh and fun experience that is as expertly crafted as any other shooter on the market. Crysis 2 is gorgeous, fun, and a far better package when looked at collectively than its already groundbreaking predecessor. Thanks for watching this review. If you found it helpful at all or enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. For a more detailed review, be sure to check out our website at intensegamingtv.com. Thank you.
That's it. The barrier is down. Run, Alcatraz. You've got to get out alive. You and that suit are our only hope.